Open this gate!
Don't let him stall.
State your authority. You heard me.
This is our access now.
No, it isn't. Hand over the keys.
He knows exactly what he's doing.
What is the legal order? Don't test me, then answer clearly.
He's always like this.
Hand over the keys, or I'll make this ugly.
You've been warned enough.
You're being recorded. Good.
Let the record show refusal. Should we call someone?
Don't get involved. I can cuff you right here.
Do it if he keeps refusing.
For asking a question? For obstruction. What obstruction?
He's blocking community safety.
With my own gate? Keys, now.
Think about what happens next.
I am. Then stop making this hard. You're the one reaching.
He hasn't done anything.
Quiet.
Everyone can see who's causing this.
Last warning. Everyone can hear you.
He asked for the law.
Don't say anything. I'm recording.
Put that phone down.
Give it to me. Say why.
Because this town is done bending around you.
Final chance. Then make the record clean.
Oh my God.
Move your hand.
The gate rattled under the deputy's fist, while the HOA president stood behind him, smiling like the ranch already belonged to her. "Hand over the keys, or I'll make this ugly," he said. Marcus Reed looked at the cold metal cuff hanging from the deputy's belt and thought of the small photo folded inside his shirt pocket. How many people had watched a quiet man get cornered and said nothing? How far would a brother go for his sister's power? And what happens when the man they call just a rancher has spent 20 years learning how corrupt badges leave fingerprints? Stay until the end, because one key at that gate changes an entire town. The chain on the gate jumped again. "Last chance," Lieutenant Brent Voss said, one hand resting near his belt. "Give me the ring, Marcus. Right now." Marcus kept his fingers around the brass key. The metal had gone cold enough to leave its shape in his palm. Beyond the bars, headlights idled. Marlene Voss stood beside her brother in a cream coat, her HOA folder tucked under one arm. "What statute?" Marcus asked. Brent gave a short laugh. "Don't play smart with me. What statute authorizes seizure of private property without an order?" The wind carried the dry smell of sage off the field. Somewhere behind Marcus, a horse bumped the paddock rail. Marlene stepped closer, heels ticking on the concrete. "You were told this access point is under review," she said. "Residents feel threatened. You're obstructing community safety." "By locking my own gate?" She smiled without warmth. "By refusing to cooperate." A phone rose behind a windshield across the road. Jenna Ellis sat in her SUV, recording through a crack in the window. Two boys on bicycles had stopped by the mailboxes. Nobody spoke. Brent held out his hand. "Keys?" Marcus looked at the camera above the keypad, then at the red blink on the intercom. "State your reason clearly for the recording." That landed harder than Brent expected. His jaw tightened. "My reason is that I'm giving you a lawful instruction." "Then say the lawful basis." For a beat, only the chain tapped the post. Marlene's folder opened in the wind, showing a map with a fresh yellow line across Marcus's road. "Brent," she said softly, "he's delaying on purpose." "I noticed." He stepped in and caught Marcus by the wrist. The contact was quick, more insulting than rough, but it made the boys straighten on their bikes. Marcus did not pull back. He opened his hand, then closed it again over the ring. "Take your hand off me," he said, "then comply. Name the complaint. Who filed it? At what time?" Brent released him and turned half toward the witnesses. "See? Non-compliant already." From the SUV, Jenna cracked her door. "He asked a question." Marlene cut her a glance. "Mrs. Ellis, please go home. This is official business." Official. The word hung there, polished and false. Marcus slid the key ring into his jacket pocket. "My daughter is due back within the hour. This gate stays operational." Brent's expression shifted. "You using a minor to make this harder?" "I'm telling you, traffic uses this road." Harold Pike had come as far as the stone pillar by then. Tessa Moore stood beside the mailboxes with her postal satchel. "Lieutenant," Tessa called, "is there a county notice posted anywhere?" Brent ignored her. "Empty your pocket." "No." Marcus heard gravel crunch under Brent's boots and the faint buzz of moths around the porch bulb. The porch light snapped on behind him. Marlene exhaled. "Fine," she said. "If he won't surrender them voluntarily, document the refusal and remove him from the entrance." The two boys pushed their bikes back a foot. Jenna's phone stayed raised. Tessa took one step forward, then stopped. Brent reached for his cuffs, and the red light over the intercom kept blinking just as a car turned onto the outer road. 6:12 a.m. The fence wire bit into Marcus Reed's glove before the sun cleared the ridge. He drove one staple into the cedar post. Juniper, the old mare, blew steam through the cold and nudged the feed bucket with a hollow clank. "You're early with complaints," Marcus said. The pasture smelled of hay, damp wood, and road dust from beyond Cedar Gate's stone pillars. Past them, new roofs shone clean and pale. His ranch house looked smaller in that light, weathered and bowed. His phone buzzed. "Dad, you awake?" Grace asked. "Have been." "Did you eat?" He glanced at the dented thermos by his boot. "Coffee counts if you believe in it." "It does not. I have rehearsal, so I'll come through the east gate around 7. I'll leave it clear." "Mom's photo still in your pocket?" Marcus drew the small picture from his shirt. Elise stood beside a younger Grace under a cottonwood. The fold across the photo crackled under his thumb. "Always," he said. "Then don't let Mrs. Voss ruin your morning." "I don't donate mornings to her." Grace laughed once, but a car engine rolled up the gravel. Marcus tucked the photo away against his chest. Marlene Voss stepped from a white SUV in spotless riding boots, holding a cream folder. "Mr. Reed," she called, "I need a signature." Marcus rested the hammer on the rail. "Morning to you, too." "This is a notice of non-compliance from Cedar Gate Estates." "I'm not in Cedar Gate." "Your access road touches our controlled perimeter." "It touched this land before your perimeter had a name." Her smile thinned. "That attitude is why residents feel unsafe." Juniper bumped the bucket again. Marcus poured grain and waited until the mare lowered her head. Marlene held out the paper. "Sign acknowledgement." "I'll read it first." "It covers unauthorized gate use, noise complaints, and visual nuisance." "Visual nuisance?" "Loose fencing. Livestock odor. Unapproved signage." "The sign says Reed Ranch." "Exactly." Marcus wiped frost from the top rail. "My father hung that sign in 1978. "Then it's old enough to be replaced." A postal van slowed near the mailboxes. Tessa Moore leaned from the window. "Everything all right, Mr. Reed?" "Private association matter," Marlene said. Tessa looked at the county marker in weeds. "This side isn't association land." "It's being evaluated," Marlene said. Marcus folded the notice. "Leave future papers in the county office." "I tried courtesy first." "Noted." She looked at the east gate Grace would later use. "Developers see potential here. You could walk away comfortably instead of making everyone miserable." "For whom?" "For yourself." Marcus slid the paper into his jacket. "I'm already home." Marlene stepped closer. "My brother handles public safety for this corridor. If your gate creates an incident, he won't be sentimental about history." The mare stopped chewing. Marcus picked up the hammer. "Tell him to bring the law with him." Marlene returned to her SUV. Gravel snapped as she backed out too fast. When the sound faded, Marcus unfolded the notice. At the bottom, the page was blank. His phone buzzed again. "Grace, save me one pancake." Marcus pressed Elise's photo flat through his shirt pocket, careful not to deepen the crease. At 9:04 a.m., the Cedar Gate clubhouse smelled of lemon polish and new carpet. Marlene Voss tapped her pen until the room settled. Behind her, a screen showed the road, its county line hidden under a bright yellow streak. "We have one item before landscaping," she said. "Reed Ranch access." Chairs creaked. Coffee hissed near the back wall. Jenna Ellis sat with crumbs on her sleeve and her phone under one hand. Harold Pike lowered himself into the last row. Tessa Moore stood by the open door with mail. "For months, Mr. Reed has ignored community standards," Marlene said. A man in a navy vest raised his hand. "Is he part of the association?" "He benefits from proximity. That creates obligations." Tessa frowned. "That's not how roads work." "Ms. Moore, this meeting is for residents. I'm delivering certified letters." Tessa lifted 3 envelopes. "And I've driven that road 12 years. "Used to," Marlene said. "Circumstances change." On the table lay a packet titled Emergency Corridor Review. The staples were bright, the pages too clean. Harold leaned forward. "That survey's missing the cattle crossing." The board retained updated materials. "Who updated them?" "Professionals." The side door opened. Brent Voss entered in uniform. His duty belt creaked as he crossed to his sister and placed a folded note beside her coffee cup. Marlene read it. "Lieutenant Voss has confirmed safety complaints from households." Jenna lifted her head. "Which households?" Brent turned. "I'm not releasing names." "This isn't public?" Tessa asked. "You just said I'm not allowed." A small sound moved through the chairs, almost a laugh, then died when Brent stared toward the back. Jenna asked, "Did anyone call about Marcus blocking an ambulance? My son's bus uses that gate when the entrance floods." "Mrs. Ellis," Marlene said, "your concern is noted." "Noted where?" "In the minutes." Harold rubbed his cap brim. "My medical transport used that ranch road in April." "The control plan includes emergency discretion," Marlene said. "Whose discretion?" Brent answered before she could. "Mine." Victor Lang arrived late, silver hair, tan jacket. He stood near the screen, studying the map as if the land were a price. "A clean perimeter increases value," he said. Tessa watched him touch the yellow line. "Are you buying the Reed land?" Victor chuckled. "We are exploring improvements." "That wasn't my question." Marlene closed the folder. "Mr. Lang advises on development impact." Jenna saw Brent's note beside the cup. Upside down, in block letters, she could read, "Keys today. Need refusal on record." She slid her phone into camera mode without lifting it from her lap. Marlene raised her voice. "All in favor of authorizing the board to pursue access enforcement?" Hands rose slowly. Some residents looked at Brent first. Harold's hand stayed on his cap. Jenna kept both hands down. Tessa did not move. "Opposed?" 3 hands lifted. Brent wrote in a small black notebook. Marlene looked at Jenna, then Harold, then the doorway where Tessa stood with mail. "Motion carries," she said. Outside, through clubhouse glass, Marcus's Reed Ranch sign stood across the road. Victor smiled like he had already measured the empty space. The feed sack split open at 1:17 p.m. when Marcus reached the counter. Corn poured across the floorboards and scattered between Brent Voss's polished boots. Owen Bell, 19, froze behind the register with price stickers in his hand. The store smelled of burlap and grain dust. Brent looked down. "You always make a mess where people walk?" Marcus shifted the torn bag. "Afternoon, Lieutenant. I asked you a question." "You made a comment." Owen whispered, "I can get a broom, Mr. Reed." "Leave it," Marcus said. Someone may want to photograph the hazard before blaming me for it. A teenager by the cooler raised his phone. Brent turned, and the boy lowered it. Residents filed concerns, Brent said. Your truck sits by the gate. Your animals get near the fence. People don't know what you're capable of. Marcus set the sack on the counter. Corn rolled by the register. People know where I live. That's not an answer. It was not a question. Brent stepped closer, smelling of coffee and rain. You were warned this morning. My sister gave you notice. Marcus laid the folded page beside the card reader. No county stamp. No case number. No issuing office. Owen leaned in. That's weird. Brent's eyes moved to him. Ring up the feed. The scanner beeped twice, too loud in the small store. Marcus said, If there's a complaint, I'd like the number. You'll get what you're entitled to. When? When I decide this is police business. Marcus looked at Brent's chest. The body camera lens was dark. Is that recording? Brent smiled. Do you want it to be? I want the record accurate. Owen's hand slipped under the counter. A red light appeared on his phone, hidden between tape and nails. Brent lifted the HOA notice with 2 fingers. Keep pushing, and I'll write you for disorderly conduct. For asking for a complaint number? For creating a scene. The bell over the door rang. Tessa Moore walked in with a tub of mail and stopped at the spilled corn. Everything all right? She asked. Busy, Brent said. Tessa set the tub down. I heard my name in a meeting. Thought I'd buy stamps before I'm banned from those, too. Owen let out half a breath. Brent pointed at Marcus. Move your truck from the gate by 5. Leave the east access unlocked. Keep your animals away from Cedar Gate fence. Put it in writing. I am standing here in uniform. That's not paper. The store went still. Brent's mouth tightened. You want paper? Fine. I'll make paper. And when your daughter gets held up because you wanted to play land lawyer, that's on you. Marcus's hand moved toward his shirt pocket, then stopped before touching the photo. Owen stepped around with a broom. I'll help carry that. No, Brent said. He can manage his own mess. Marcus paid in cash and turned the receipt face up. Owen, write the time on my copy. The clerk glanced at Brent, then wrote 1:23 p.m. in blue ink. Brent leaned close. 5 o'clock. Marcus gathered the patched sack against his ribs. Corn dust clung to his sleeve. At the door, he looked back at the dark body camera, Owen's phone, and the blue time on the receipt. By the time the bell rang behind him, 3 kernels still lay untouched between Brent's boots. The county office clock clicked to 2:06 p.m. as Marcus laid the easement on the counter. Linda Carver, 58, sat behind scratched glass with a cardigan buttoned wrong at the collar. She looked at the paper, then at the mud on his boots. I need this received, Marcus said. Linda slid her glasses down. Land records are by appointment on Thursdays. This is a filing copy for an existing easement. The lobby smelled of wet coats, copier heat, and burned coffee. Near the door, Tessa Moore sorted mail into a canvas tray. Linda touched the yellowed page. Reed Ranch, county right-of-way access, recorded 1978. That's the one. This should be in the archive. It is. I want a stamped copy on today's record because Cedar Gate is claiming authority over the gate. HOA matters are private. Road access is not. The phone rang. Linda picked it up. Records desk, Linda speaking. Her face changed. Yes, Mrs. Voss. He's here. She turned away. No, I haven't stamped anything. Tessa stopped sorting. Marcus kept both hands on the counter. The glass was cold under his knuckles. Linda lowered her voice. I understand, but if it's recorded, The fluorescent light buzzed. Yes, I'll tell him. She hung up and pushed the easement back. I'm unable to accept this today. Marcus did not move. Why? Because the parcel is under administrative review. By whom? The appropriate parties. Did the county place my access under review? I can't discuss internal process. Then stamp it as received. I said I can't. From the mail table, Tessa stepped closer. That document is older than Cedar Gate. Linda gave her a warning look. Tessa, please. I deliver notices. I know that road. Marcus lifted one finger from the page. I'm not asking you to decide the dispute. I'm creating a record that I brought this in before they act. Linda glanced at the phone. Mr. Reed, I have a line. There was no line. An elderly man with a tax envelope watched. Marcus pulled a second copy from his folder. Then I'll leave this for intake. You can't leave loose documents. It has my name, parcel number, and date. Sir. He placed it flat between them. A paper coffee cup sat near Linda's keyboard. Condensation slid down its side and spread into a round, wet mark. The edge of the old page curled under the moisture. Linda saw it too. For a second, her hand moved toward a tissue. Then she stopped. Tessa took a clean envelope from her tray. Use this, Linda whispered. Don't. Tessa slid it to Marcus anyway. Marcus dried the corner with his sleeve, not enough to erase the stain. He put the copy inside, wrote the time across the flap, and turned it so Linda could read it. 2:14 p.m., delivered to County Records Desk. Linda stared. I did not receive it. You watched me deliver it. That is not the same thing. No, Marcus said. It isn't. He left the envelope on the counter. A chair scraped when the elderly man moved away. Marcus opened the door. Cold air rushed in with the smell of rain. Outside, Tessa came out 2 seconds later. She's reaching for it, she said. Through the glass, Linda lifted the envelope. The office phone rang again, and she froze with the paper hanging over the trash can. The first plastic sign went up at 4:38 p.m., crooked against the brown grass. Private access review, it said in black letters damp enough to shine. A worker in a gray hoodie drove the stake into Marcus's ditch while another unrolled orange mesh from a pickup. Marcus stood by the fence with his black notebook open. The sign slapped the fresh stake. Tap, tap, tap. Afternoon, he said. The worker kept his eyes down. We were told to mark the boundary. By the county? Cedar Gate Management. Name? I just put up signs. Marcus wrote 4:39 p.m. Gray pickup. No county seal. Across the road, Jenna's porch door opened. She came out barefoot in a sweater, phone raised. Is that your ditch? She called. County drainage, Marcus said. My fence begins 2 feet in. The second worker stopped with the mesh. Ma'am, stay back. I'm on my porch. A patrol cruiser rolled through the pillars and stopped. Brent Voss stepped out. You people are making this bigger than it is, Brent said. Marcus turned a page. Who authorized private markers on a county drainage line? Brent nodded at the notebook. Writing a novel? A log. For what? For later. His smile left. Marlene's white SUV followed, pinching the lane. Victor Lang climbed out. These are temporary safety markers, Marlene said. Then they need a county work order. Victor gave a soft laugh. Not everything requires your permission. My permission? No. The county's, usually. Brent stepped between them. Do not interfere with workers. I haven't touched them. You're creating a hostile environment. The sign tapped faster. Tessa's postal van slowed by the mailboxes. She looked at the mesh, bowing toward the road. That'll catch a bumper, she said. Marlene turned. This is not a male issue. It is when you block delivery. The worker whispered. Man, I didn't sign up for police. Brent heard him. Finish the line. Marcus wrote the words exactly. A gust carried the smell of rain. Juniper whinnied from the pasture. Marcus opened his truck door and took out a measuring tape. Brent raised a hand. Put that down. It's a tape measure. I said put it down. Marcus let the metal end rest on gravel. You want me not to measure public space? I want you not to escalate. Jenna called. He's measuring. Marlene's voice hardened. Mrs. Ellis, filming may violate community policy. My child rides that bus, Jenna said. So I'm filming. The worker set his hammer on the truck bed. Lieutenant, if this isn't official, I need my boss to send it in writing. Victor's face tightened. You'll be paid when complete. Marcus looked at the worker. What's your first name? Noah. Keep your invoice. Why? Because somebody may say you were never here. Tessa wrote the time on a slip. Brent noticed. Everyone needs to stop documenting and clear the area. No, Marcus said. Brent stepped toward him. Marlene lifted her chin. Marcus only tore a page from his notebook, folded it once, and tucked it under his windshield wiper. What is that? Brent asked. A copy for whoever removes my truck. The plastic sign kept tapping the stake. Behind it, the mesh trembled into the lane, and the school bus headlights appeared through the rain. The school bus stopped with its headlights caught in the orange mesh. Its brakes sighed in the rain. Children stared from the windows, pale behind streaked glass. Jenna ran from her porch. Back it up, she called. There's no room. The driver leaned out. That gate's my turn point. Marcus stepped into the lane. Hold there, Frank. Brent Voss snapped. Get out of the roadway. I'm keeping the bus from clipping your marker. Marlene said. Those markers are temporary. They're in the lane. The sign tapped its stake. Tap, tap, tap. Marcus felt the key ring in his pocket, cold through denim. Brass key pressed an oval into his palm. Brent pointed at the bus. This is the hazard we warned about. Jenna stopped beside Marcus. You made the hazard. Ma'am, step back. My son is on that bus. Inside, a small hand slapped the glass. Jenna's face changed, but she kept filming. Marcus said, Move the mesh. Let the bus turn. Noah, the worker, looked at Victor. I can pull it. Victor held up one finger. Not until the boundary is documented. Brent's voice dropped. Marcus, open the east gate. It is open for residents and emergency access, not for seizure. Open it now. Marcus took the key ring out. Rain speckled the brass. Everyone looked at his hand. There, Marlene said. Those are the keys covered by the access review. These keys belong to Reed Ranch. Brent stepped close. You are refusing a lawful direction during a public safety incident. You created the incident. The driver called. Cars are backing up. Tessa's van sat with hazards ticking yellow. Harold Pike had come out with a cane. Lieutenant, Harold called. Let him open the gate. Brent did not look at him. I'm taking possession of the keys until this is resolved. No. The word was quiet enough that the rain almost swallowed it. Brent reached. Marcus turned his wrist away, keeping the ring at his side. Don't make me write this differently, Brent said. Write it accurately. Marlene stepped into the headlights. Residents are watching a man choose pride over children. Jenna's phone shook. Don't you dare. Marcus's phone vibrated. Grace. He answered. Where are you? Dad, I'm at the far turn. A cruiser's blocking the road. What's happening? Stay in your car. Are you okay? Brent's hand closed around the keyring. The cold metal slid across Marcus's fingers. He tightened once, then felt the folded photo in his shirt pocket crackle. "Dad?" Marcus let go. The keys landed in Brent's hand with a dull clink. Tessa covered her mouth. Harold lowered his head. Noah stopped moving. Brent held the ring up. "Subject surrendered keys voluntarily." "No," Jenna said. "He did not." Marcus spoke into the phone. "Grace, lock your doors and wait." Marlene smiled. "Now we can restore order." Brent turned toward his cruiser. "I'll secure these as evidence." "Evidence of what?" Tessa asked. He ignored her. Noah dragged the mesh aside. The bus eased forward, tires hissing through puddles. Children watched Marcus through the windows. Marcus stood in the rain without the keys. His hand stayed open, the oval fading from his skin. Then Grace's voice came through the phone. "Dad, someone pulled in behind me." "Keep the line open," Marcus said. Rain snapped against the phone. Grace breathed too close to the speaker. "It's a white truck. I don't know them." Marcus turned toward Brent's cruiser. "Give me back the east gate key." Brent opened the driver's door. "You don't give orders." "My daughter is boxed in on a county road." Marlene folded her arms. "Maybe she should have followed posted changes." Jenna shouted, "She's a kid!" Marcus stepped one pace toward the cruiser. Not fast, not wild, just enough for Brent to smile. "There it is," Brent said. "Back up." "No." The rain ran down Marcus's sleeves. His empty hand remembered the key ring. Brent took him by the arm. "You're detained for disorderly conduct and obstruction." "State the conduct." "You refused a lawful instruction during a safety incident." Tessa said, "He was trying to help his daughter." "One more word and you can come too." Harold's cane tapped wet gravel. Nobody moved. Marcus spoke into the phone before Brent pulled it away. "Grace, stay visible. Call Samuel Ortiz if this drops." "Dad!" The call ended under Brent's thumb. At 8:11 p.m., the interview room smelled of bleach, old coffee, and wet wool. Marcus sat on a metal bench bolted to the wall. Cold climbed through his jeans. A camera watched from the corner. Brent stood outside. Marlene's voice floated in from the lobby. "He was warned all day. My concern is residence." Marcus slid 2 fingers into his shirt pocket. The folded photo was damp at one corner. Elise's face had blurred where rain touched the crease. He pressed it flat and put it back. A young dispatcher stopped near the doorway with forms. Her nameplate read, Riley Shaw. 26. Narrow shoulders, 1 strand of dark hair caught on her cheek. "You need water?" she asked. Brent looked over. "He's fine." Marcus answered, "Yes, please." Riley filled a paper cup from the hall cooler. When she handed it to him, her eyes flicked to the intake sheet. "Phone call?" Marcus asked. "After booking." "I haven't been booked." Brent came in. "You're not running the room." "No. I'm asking what room I'm in." Brent dropped a clipboard on the table. "Temporary hold pending report." Marcus looked at the top page. "Complaint number?" "It'll be assigned." "After arrest?" "Detention." "After detention?" Brent leaned down. His breath smelled like mint gum. "You think careful words will save you?" Marcus lifted the cup. The rim softened under his fingers. "They usually save the record." For the first time, Riley looked directly at him. Brent shut the door. The latch clicked like a small verdict. Through the glass strip, Marcus watched Riley at her console. A body camera window glowed on her screen. The timestamp read 7:42 p.m. The incident report beside it read 7:59 p.m. Riley rubbed her thumb over a sticky note. Brent's voice came through her headset. "I'm taking possession of the keys." She looked toward the interview room. Marcus did not nod. He set the paper cup on the floor, rim folded inward, and waited. In the lobby, Marlene said, "Make sure the report says voluntary surrender." Riley's fingers froze above the keyboard. On her screen, the blank complaint field blinked, waiting for a number that did not yet exist. Riley Shaw typed the first 3 digits, then stopped. The complaint field would not backdate. The detention time glowed 7:58 p.m. The new case number appeared at 8:23, 25 minutes too late. She looked toward the interview room. Marcus sat behind the glass, paper cup by his boot, wet jacket dark at the shoulders. Brent's voice came from the lobby. "Riley, print the intake." "For which case number?" she called. A pause. "The read obstruction." It just generated. Brent stepped into the doorway. "Then use it." "The system logs creation time." "I know how the system works." "Okay," she said, but her fingers did not move. Marlene stood near the front counter, speaking low into her phone. "The keys are secure. We can tell residents the corridor is being handled." Her cream coat was damp at the hem. Riley opened the body camera file again. Brent's own voice filled her headset. "I'm taking possession of the keys." The waveform jumped. Sergeant Paula Kim came from the rear hall holding a mug that smelled of peppermint tea. "Why is intake still pending?" Riley kept her voice flat. "Case number created after hold. Body cam says keys taken before report." Paula's eyes moved once to Brent, then back to the screen. "Send me the log," Brent said. "Sergeant, this is an HOA safety issue that escalated." "Then the paperwork should be easy." Marcus heard it through the door and lifted his head just enough to listen. At 8:31 p.m., the front door rattled open. Tessa Moore entered with rain on her postal jacket and a man beside her, 44, gray at both temples, leather folder under his coat. "Samuel Ortiz," he said, "attorney for Marcus Reed. I need to see my client." Brent moved first. "He hasn't requested counsel." Samuel wiped rain from his glasses. "His daughter called me at 8:06. His phone cut off during detention." "That's enough." Marlene ended her call. "This is not a courtroom." "No," Samuel said. "Courts have better clocks." Tessa placed a thick envelope on the counter. Old easement, county copy, delivery notes, and Jenna Ellis's video. Brent stared at the envelope. "You people coordinated fast." "You gave us practice," Tessa said. Paula reached for the envelope before Brent could. "I'll log it." "As what?" Brent asked. "Preservation material, until someone gives me a lawful reason not to." The heater clicked on, pushing the smell of wet carpet through the room. Riley attached the screen log to an email addressed to Sergeant Kim. The cursor blinked over send. Brent leaned over her shoulder. "Don't make a career mistake because a rancher sounds calm." Riley looked at the case times, then at Marcus behind the glass. Samuel said, "Lieutenant, step away from the dispatcher." Brent turned. "Excuse me?" "You heard me." Paula's mug touched the counter. "Brent, back up." He obeyed. Riley clicked send. In the interview room, Marcus closed his eyes for half a second. When he opened them, Samuel stood raised the old easement envelope, just enough for him to see the dark coffee ring on the corner. Marcus looked at the stain, then at the blinking camera above the door. The paper had made it through the trash can. Samuel Ortiz set his wet leather folder on the station counter at 8:47 p.m. "Preserve every recording," he said. "Gate camera, body camera, lobby video, dispatch audio, property log, and inventory sheet for Mr. Reed's keys." Brent folded his arms. "You came prepared for a traffic stop." For an arrest without a complaint number. Detention. Samuel looked through the glass at Marcus. Then release him. Sergeant Paula Kim picked up a pen. The tip hovered over a yellow form. Lieutenant? She asked. Where are the keys? In my desk drawer. Logged? I was handling intake. That wasn't my question. Riley Shaw sat at her console. The email to Paula had already sent. Marlene Voss paced by the lobby chairs. Tell them the gate is secure, she whispered into her phone. Samuel turned. Mrs. Voss, stop discussing active evidence. I'm updating residents. Then update them that counsel is present. Marlene ended the call. Paula opened the interview room door. Mr. Reed, your attorney is here. Marcus stood. His jacket had dried stiff. Did my daughter get through? He asked. Samuel answered. Grace is safe. Jenna and Tessa reached her before the truck left. Only then did Marcus touch his shirt pocket. Brent watched. You had people staged. Marcus looked at him. No. Then why is everyone running around with videos and envelopes? Because you gave them things to carry. The station went quiet except for the printer warming up. Samuel handed Marcus the phone. One call. Make it count. Brent shook his head. He's already represented. Paula said, Let him make the call. Marcus dialed from memory. 7 digits. A pause, then 4 more. This is Reed. Field reference Kettle Creek. Cedar Gate. Access compromise confirmed. Code Gray Ledger. Preserve local chain. Riley looked up. The desk sergeant behind the partition stopped signing a form. His pen bled a dark point into the paper. A woman's voice crackled through the receiver. Confirm identity. Marcus gave a number, then 2 words Samuel did not know. No emergency response. Documentation only. My daughter is clear. Brent stepped forward. Who are you calling? Marcus listened, then said, Understood. He set the receiver down. Paula's eyes moved from Marcus to Samuel. Counsel, does that call affect my station? Samuel closed his folder. It affects every record in it. Marlene whispered, What does that mean? Nobody answered. Riley opened the body camera archive. A hold marker appeared beside Brent's video, locked from deletion. Paula noticed. Good. Brent turned on Riley. You locked my file? I preserved it. On whose authority? Sergeant Kim's email, and my log. Paula stepped beside the desk. Mine? Marcus stayed by the counter. He looked at the dark lobby camera, then at the damp envelope. The coffee ring on its corner had dried brown. Samuel slid a document toward Paula. Written demand for preservation. Paula signed the top. Received, 8:56 p.m. Brent stared at the signature. For the first time that night, the uniform around him seemed too tight. Outside, another car pulled into the lot. Riley looked through the rain-streaked window and saw no markings on the doors, only 2 figures waiting inside. At 5:47 a.m., the first unmarked sedan turned off County Road 18 without headlights. Mist lay low over Reed Ranch. Marcus stood beside the gate in the same damp jacket from the station, one hand around a cold paper cup. Grace waited on the porch steps with a blanket over her shoulders. Are they yours? Marcus watched 2 more vehicles roll in. No sirens, just tires over gravel. They're expected. That's not an answer. It's the safest one before they step out. Samuel Ortiz stood by his truck, the stained easement envelope under his arm. Tessa's postal van idled near the mailboxes. Jenna came down from her porch. The lead sedan stopped. A woman stepped out, 39, compact, dark hair pinned tight. She glanced at the keypad camera and the stakes. Morning, Marcus, she said. Grace turned. Marcus set the cup on the stone pillar. Agent Wells? Special Agent Dana Wells lifted her badge for Samuel to see. Riley Shaw's log reached Internal Affairs and our office at 8:33 p.m. We preserved the call chain. Samuel exhaled. Good. Grace's voice thinned. Dad? Marcus looked at her. I was assigned to review land pressure complaints in 3 rural counties. Reed Ranch gave me lawful residence and cover. Cover, she repeated. I should have told you more. You told me to lock my doors. That part was true. Across the road, Marlene's SUV appeared at Cedar Gate. Brent's cruiser rolled in seconds later. Donna said, "Let them come to us." Brent stepped out first. What is this? Donna walked to the gate. Federal inquiry into unlawful property interference, false reporting, and possible deprivation of access under color of authority. Marlene laughed once. This is an HOA matter. No, Dana said. It became something else when a police lieutenant seized keys, created paperwork afterward, and discussed land access with a private developer. Brent looked at Marcus. You set me up. Marcus kept his hands at his sides. You chose each word. Harold Pike came out from Cedar Gate with his cane and no coat. Dana nodded to another agent. Photograph the stakes, gate, keypad, and ditch line. Collect the intercom backup. Marlene clutched her folder. You cannot take HOA property. We're requesting records. Refusal will be documented. The word made Jenna lower her eyes. Brent's hand drifted toward his radio, then stopped when Sergeant Paula Kim stepped from a 4th car. She wore plain clothes and carried a sealed evidence bag. Inside lay the ranch keys. These were not logged properly, Paula said. Marlene whispered, Brent. He did not answer. Paula held the bag out to Dana, not Marcus. Marcus saw the brass key through plastic, dulled by fingerprints. Grace came down one porch step. Do we get them back? She asked. After processing, Dana said. But the gate will open under county supervision today. Marcus nodded once. Thank you. Grace stared at him. That's all? He looked at the neighbors where they had once watched from glass. For now. Dana turned to Brent. Lieutenant Voss, we need your body camera file, incident notes, communications with Cedar Gate, and messages involving Victor Lang. Brent looked past her at Marcus, then at the red light over the intercom. It blinked. The hearing room clock showed 10:18 a.m., and every second sounded louder than the air vent. Marcus sat with Samuel Ortiz. The stained easement lay in a clear sleeve between them. Across the aisle, Marlene kept her folder closed. Brent sat 2 chairs from her, eyes fixed on the screen. Judge Elaine Porter, 62, adjusted her glasses. Records preservation only. Speak to facts. Dana Wells nodded. The lights dimmed. Jenna's video filled the screen. Rain, bus headlights, orange mesh trembling into the lane. Brent's voice came through the speakers. I'm taking possession of the keys until this is resolved. Judge Porter looked up. Was there an order authorizing seizure? Brent leaned toward his microphone. It was a public safety response. That was not my question. No written order. The room went still enough for Marcus to hear Samuel's pen click. Donna changed files. The intercom camera showed Marlene at the gate. If he won't surrender them voluntarily, document the refusal, her recorded voice said. Judge Porter turned one page. Mrs. Voss, are you employed by any government agency? No. Were you directing law enforcement action? I was advising my brother about resident concerns. Samuel said, The HOA messages clarify that. Marlene's fingers tightened. Private messages lack context. Dana handed a packet to the clerk. Victor Lang asked when the road would be cleared for valuation. Mrs. Voss replied, "Brent will get keys today. Need refusal on record." A low breath moved through the benches. Harold Pike sat behind Jenna, cap in both hands, the brim folded under his thumbs until the fabric creased white. Judge Porter asked, "Mr. Pike, you requested to speak?" Harold rose slowly. "My medical van uses that road when the north entrance floods." Marlene closed her eyes. "I heard them say safety," Harold said. "I should have said the road kept me safe, but I didn't." Marcus did not turn. Dana displayed Riley's dispatch log. 7:58 hold time, 8:23 case creation. Sergeant Paula Kim spoke from the side table. The key evidence bag was incomplete. No property receipt was issued. The body camera file was not attached until Dispatcher Shaw flagged it. Judge Porter faced Brent. "Did you create the complaint after the detention?" Brent swallowed. "I completed documentation after the incident. The question concerns creation." "Yes." Grace stood at the rear wall. Dana placed the old easement under the document camera. The coffee ring appeared large on the screen. Tessa whispered. She almost threw it away. Linda Carver pressed a tissue to her mouth. Judge Porter looked at the 1978 stamp. "This easement predates Cedar Gate Estates," Samuel said, "by 48 years. And access remains active?" "Yes." The judge removed her glasses. "Then the road remains open. The HOA will preserve records. The department will preserve communications, camera files, property logs, and dispatch metadata. No party will interfere with the gate." Marlene stood too fast. "Residents are frightened." The judge looked at Marcus, then back to her. "They may be, but fear is not a deed." Marcus lowered his eyes. The stain had dried into the old paper, but the words beneath it were still readable. The evidence bag made the brass keys look smaller than they had at the gate. It lay on Judge Porter's table, sealed with red tape, tagged in Sergeant Kim's handwriting. Marcus watched the ring through the plastic, while Brent Voss sat 3 chairs away, badge clipped to his belt, radio removed. Judge Porter said, "Lieutenant Voss, pending review. Do not contact witnesses, alter reports, or discuss this matter with board members." Brent's jaw shifted. "I was responding to a safety concern. You have said that 3 times. The record now needs documents." A clerk slid a suspension notice across the table. Marlene touched Brent's sleeve. "Don't sign without counsel." Dana Wells looked at her. "He is being instructed by his department, not the HOA." Sergeant Kim stood by the wall. "His system access is frozen." Brent turned. "Paula, you logged property after the fact. You left dispatch to find the gap. I can't fix that for you." Rain clicked against the windows. The room smelled of toner and wet wool. Dana opened another folder. "We're reviewing 4 Cedar Gate calls with missing complaint attachments." Marlene's face lost color. Those were unrelated. At 12:05 p.m., the Cedar Gate clubhouse filled without coffee. Residents stood along the walls. Someone had pulled the yellow road map from the screen and left nail holes. Jenna held her son's backpack. Harold sat in front with his cane. Marlene took the microphone. "This association has been attacked by misinformation." A man stood. "Did you tell your brother to get the keys?" "No." Jenna lifted her phone. "Your message said he would." "That phrase was private context." Harold said, "The gate wasn't private when my medical van needed it." Victor Lang rose near the back. "Everyone is losing sight of property value." "No," Jenna said. "We're finally seeing what you value." A chair scraped. Someone whispered, "Audit." Another voice, Independent audit. Tessa stood by the door with bylaws. There is a procedure for removing a board president after misuse of authority. I brought enough copies. Marlene stared. You're not a resident. No, I'm the person who watched mail, buses, and access get turned into leverage. People stopped looking at Marlene for permission. By late afternoon, Marcus stood at the ranch gate with Grace and Samuel. Donna held the evidence bag while another agent photographed the seal. These can be released, Dana said. Grace watched the keys drop into Marcus's palm. They landed with a dull weight. Samuel said, We can seek damages. Marcus opened his hand. Red marks crossed the brass. I want the easement restored on the county map, the gate posted correctly, and written acknowledgement from the department and HOA. Grace looked up. That's all? No speech, no parade. Marlene would hate a parade. Marcus turned the key in the lock. It resisted once, then gave with a soft click. Across the road, Marlene stood on her porch, holding a gavel she no longer had a room to use. Samuel zipped his folder. A written acknowledgement can be colder than a speech. Marcus pushed the gate open. The hinges groaned, then settled. He handed the keys to Grace. Hold these while I fix the sign. She took them with both hands. The new lock arrived in a plain county box, not a Cedar Gate envelope. Marcus set it on the gate post while Grace held the keys. Frost silvered the fence wire. A county truck idled by the ditch. Samuel Ortiz read the notice. Access interference removed. Easement markers restored. County supervision until map correction is filed. Grace touched the box. They put it in writing. Part of it, Marcus said. A road worker lifted a plaque. Public access goes under the ranch sign. Marcus looked at the board his father had hung. Under is fine. Jenna waited at the bus stop. Harold sat in his medical van. Tessa's postal van ticked near the mailboxes. The damaged lock dropped into a bucket with a hard clank. Grace flinched. Marcus lifted the new brass lock, warm from sun on cardboard. He slid it through the hasp and turned the key. The click came soft. Jenna let out a breath. First time this gate hasn't sounded angry. Harold called. I'll take soft. Marcus handed Grace the key. Try it. She turned it once. The gate opened cleanly. At 2 p.m., the town room smelled of paper, coffee, and damp coats. Paula Kim stood by Dana Wells. Brent and Marlene were absent. Paula spoke first. Officers will not enter land access disputes without a verified order, supervisor approval, and a complaint number before contact. A councilman asked, New policy or old policy finally enforced? Paula looked at the microphone. Both. Dana added, Property logs and body camera files will be reviewed monthly by an outside auditor. Linda Carver raised her hand. Records desk will stamp received copies before administrative review. No phone call changes that. Tessa turned. Say it louder. Linda looked at Marcus. Records desk will stamp received copies. Chairs shifted. Jenna stood with a thumb drive around her neck. HOA complaints need names and dates. No more residents feel without residents willing to sign. The councilman wrote it down. Grace whispered, You're not going to speak? No. They keep looking at you. That doesn't mean I owe them words. Dana crossed to Samuel. The acknowledgement is ready. HOA audit begins Monday. Victor Lang's messages are still under review. Samuel asked, And the Voss siblings? Brent remains suspended. Marlene is removed until the audit concludes. Grace watched Marcus's face. Only his jaw moved once. By 4:16 p.m., the school bus reached Reed Ranch. Rain had stopped. Wet grass shone under pale sun. Marcus opened the gate before the driver could honk. The driver leaned out. Appreciate it, Marcus. Use the wide turn. Ditch is soft. Jenna's son pressed his palm to the window. Grace lifted the new key, then lowered it quickly. Tessa walked up with one envelope. County map correction receipt. Stamped. Marcus took it. Harold's van rolled through. He touched 2 fingers to his cap. Grace stood beside her father. You changed it for them, she said. Marcus watched the road clear. They helped change it. But you could have just taken money. He slipped the stamped receipt behind the Reed Ranch sign. Money doesn't open a road. Grace turned the key. The new lock answered with that soft click again, and for once, no one on either side of the gate stepped back. 3 months later, the public report arrived in a brown envelope with no logo on the front. Marcus opened it at the kitchen table before sunrise. Grace sat across from him in a sweatshirt, her hands around a mug. Outside the window, the restored gate stood in thin blue fog. Samuel Ortiz read the first page aloud. Findings sustained. Improper seizure of property. Failure to document detention before action. Misuse of law enforcement presence in a private land dispute. Grace looked at Marcus. That's official? It's official enough. Samuel turned another page. Brent Voss resigned before final discipline. His certification is under state review. He can't serve while that review is open. Marlene Voss was removed permanently from the Cedar Gate Board. The audit found undisclosed communications with Victor Lang. She sold the house last week. Grace did not smile. So she just leaves. She leaves with a record, Samuel said. Sometimes that follows louder than a crowd. At 10 a.m., the town room filled again, but this time the chairs faced a training screen instead of a hearing table. Sergeant Paula Kim stood before officers from 3 counties. Riley Shaw sat in the second row with a notebook open. Linda Carver read a new records policy into the microphone. All received documents will be stamped before review. No private caller can delay intake. Tessa Moore, in her postal jacket, whispered to Harold Pike. She said it twice. Harold nodded, his cane hooked over one knee. Good. Once wasn't enough. Dana Wells presented the new access dispute procedure, verified complaint number before contact, supervisor approval before property action, body camera preservation, and outside audit every quarter. When the floor opened for public comment, Jenna Ellis stood. I filmed because my son was on that bus, she said. Next time, I hope somebody films before a child has to be involved. Nobody clapped. They wrote it down. In the afternoon, Nora King from the county paper came to the ranch. 41, with silver earrings and ink on the side of her thumb, she stood near the gate and asked Marcus for a quote. People want to know how you stayed calm, she said. Marcus tightened the last screw on the Reed Ranch sign. I wasn't calm every minute. Nora waited. He looked past her, toward the road where the bus now turned without slowing. I just didn't want their version to be the only one left standing. That was all he gave her. By evening, Tessa delivered letters from 2 ranchers in other counties and 1 family from the edge of Cedar Gate. Riley had been promoted to Records Integrity Officer. Linda had sent Marcus a stamped apology, only 4 sentences long. Harold's medical van used the East Road twice a week. Jenna's video became part of officer training, with her son's face blurred out. Grace carried the old photograph from Marcus's shirt pocket and set it on the kitchen windowsill. Elise's face still crossed the crease, but the paper lay flat inside a small wooden frame. Did it cost too much? Grace asked. Marcus looked at the photo, then at the gate beyond it. Yes. She leaned her shoulder against his. Was it worth it? After a long moment, he said, "Ask me when nobody has to prove a road is theirs by losing sleep over it." Outside, the new lock caught the last light. The road stayed open. If this story reminded you of a moment when someone quiet was pushed too far by people with power, share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever seen a neighbor, worker, parent, or stranger treated like they had no voice, only for the truth to come out later? Send this story to someone who cares about dignity, fairness, and justice that reaches beyond one person. And subscribe for more stories about quiet resilience, hard-earned accountability, and the kinds of systemic changes that begin when one person refuses to let a false record become the final record. Sometimes the strongest stand is not loud. Sometimes it is simply documented, witnessed, and carried all the way through.